The fog rolled in thick over the old bridge. Its stones were slick with moisture, shining faintly under the dim moonlight. Every step echoed against the cold river below, a sound that felt alive, watching. The air was heavy, carrying the scent of damp earth and rotting wood. Mara hesitated at the edge, staring at the deep black water that gushed beneath. She remembered the tales whispered in the village about the bridge, about the people who vanished while crossing it. Her heart pounded, but curiosity pressed her forward. The wooden planks creaked beneath her weight, protesting each movement. A sudden gust of wind whipped through the beams, carrying a hollow, almost human sound. Mara froze, straining her ears. It was a soft whisper at first, like someone calling her name from far away. Then it became clearer, sharper, almost demanding attention. Her skin prickled, every nerve alert. The fog swirled, shapes moving within it, shadows that seemed to flicker with life. She felt the bridge sway slightly, though the river beneath was calm. Her fingers gripped the cold railing, teeth chattering despite the mild air. The whispering grew louder, more insistent, like a chorus of voices trapped in the stones. Mara turned, expecting to see someone following her, but the path behind remained empty. A sudden flash of movement caught her eye. A figure stood at the far end of the bridge, motionless, its face hidden in darkness. The air thickened, making it hard to breathe. Mara's mind raced. The stories had said the bridge demanded attention, demanded a choice, but she never understood what that meant. Her instinct screamed to run, but her legs refused. The figure began to move toward her, gliding over the stones without sound. Mara's pulse hammered in her ears, drowning out everything else. The fog seemed to rise, curling around the bridge like fingers. Every shadow grew sharper, every sound exaggerated. A low, chilling laugh reverberated under the arches. It was not human, yet it carried a strange familiarity. Mara stepped backward, the planks groaning beneath her retreating steps. The figure raised a hand, pointing at her with a deliberate slowness. Her breath froze in her chest, eyes wide. The river's surface reflected a distorted version of the bridge, of her, of the figure. Something about the reflection was wrong, twisted, as if the world itself had shifted. The figure stopped, tilting its head, as if studying her, judging her. Mara felt her mind slipping, a strange pull from the darkness surrounding her. Her heartbeat thundered, each beat echoing across the water and the stones. Then, without warning, the fog surged forward, swallowing the bridge and the figure completely. Mara's legs gave way, and she fell to her knees, gasping for air. The silence that followed was complete, suffocating, yet alive with a latent threat. Mara pressed her palms against the wet wood, trying to steady herself. The fog still lingered, thick and suffocating, curling into shapes that vanished when she blinked. Every instinct screamed to leave, to turn and run back to the safety of the village, but something rooted her to the planks. Her eyes darted along the bridge, searching for any sign of the figure, but the mist offered only shadows and whispers. A sudden sound made her freeze. It was soft at first, the gentle drip of water, but it became rhythmic, almost like footsteps following her every move. Mara spun around, heart hammering, but the bridge was empty. Still, the steps continued, echoing unnaturally, faster, then slower, as if mocking her fear. The moon peeked through the fog for a moment, casting long, jagged shadows that danced across the stones. She could see the arches of the bridge stretching into darkness, each one like a black mouth waiting to swallow her. The voices returned, louder now, weaving together in a chilling harmony. They whispered secrets she could not understand, words that sounded like warnings but felt like curses. Her throat went dry, and a tremor ran through her body. She gripped the railing, the wood slick and cold, imagining that if she let go, the river below would claim her in an instant. Then she saw it, a shadow moving along the underside of the bridge, just below the arches. It was darker than the night, twisting and slithering in ways that defied logic. Mara's stomach churned, bile rising as the sense of being watched became unbearable. She realized the stories were true, the bridge did not simply vanish people. It watched them, tested them, drew them into its ancient, silent hunger. A sudden creak beneath her foot snapped her attention downward. One of the planks shifted, tilting ever so slightly. Mara's breath caught as she realized the wood had not moved naturally. Something heavy, unseen, pressed from below. She pulled her foot back, but the plank rocked again, as if inviting her to step off. The whispers grew frantic, a cacophony of voices screaming all at once. Mara forced herself to keep moving forward. Each step felt like walking through invisible fingers pulling at her body, trying to make her stumble. The air around her grew colder, chilling her to the bone. Her vision blurred at the edges, shadows merging into shapes that were almost human. She felt them, countless eyes watching from the fog, from the river, from the stones themselves. Her pulse raced, blood roaring in her ears, yet she could not look away from the dark arch ahead where the figure had stood. Suddenly, the bridge seemed to stretch, lengthening in impossible ways. Mara's footfalls sounded hollow, distant, as though she was moving through some vast, empty void rather than a familiar river crossing. The wind howled, carrying faint, tortured cries that twisted around her like smoke. She stumbled, grabbing the railing, and felt a jolt of pain shoot up her arm as though the bridge itself had reached for her. The whispers became laughter, cruel and childlike, echoing from every direction. Then came a voice, clear and chilling. Mara. Her name was spoken softly, tenderly, yet it carried a weight that made her knees buckle. She spun, expecting the figure, but saw only fog and empty planks. Mara, the voice called again, closer now, surrounding her, vibrating through her bones. She wanted to scream, but the sound would not come. Her lips trembled, eyes wide with terror, as the voice whispered, "You belong here." Panic surged, and Mara ran. Her feet pounded against the slippery stones, splashing through puddles of stagnant water that seemed to pulse beneath her steps. The shadows twisted into forms, reaching toward her with long, dark fingers that scraped her arms and legs. She leapt over a broken plank, narrowly avoiding a gap that yawned like a mouth beneath her. The bridge groaned, protested, as if enraged by her defiance. Behind her, the laughter swelled into a roar, a wave of sound that threatened to pull her into the void. A flash of light caught her eye. At the far end of the bridge, a faint glow shimmered, pale and unreal, like moonlight trapped in a bubble. Mara sprinted toward it, heart hammering, lungs burning. The shadows seemed to recoil from the light, shrinking, twisting, fleeing back into the fog. She reached the end, stumbling onto solid ground, gasping, soaked, trembling. The fog clung to her, reluctant to release its prey, yet the glow remained, a fragile promise of safety. Mara fell to her knees, shivering, tears running down her cheeks. The bridge loomed behind her, silent again, almost peaceful in appearance. But she knew it was a lie. The whispers had not ended, lingering in the wind, in her mind, in the shadows of the village. The old bridge had claimed many before her, and though she had escaped this time, its hunger remained. As she turned to leave, she saw the first plank of the bridge sway slightly. Not from wind, not from her weight. Something was moving beneath it, waiting. Mara froze, every instinct screaming to run, to never look back. The whispers began again, faint at first, rising in pitch, a cruel melody that only she could hear. She knew the bridge would call again, and next time, it would not let go. Mara sat on the riverbank, shivering, watching the fog curl over the old bridge like a living thing. The whispers had faded, leaving only the sound of the water flowing quietly beneath the stones. Her legs ached, her clothes were soaked, and her heart refused to calm. Yet there was a strange, hollow relief in the silence. The glow she had seen at the far end of the bridge faded as the first light of dawn touched the village. Birds began to stir, their calls ordinary and grounding, as if reminding her that the world outside the bridge still belonged to the living. Mara drew a deep breath, tasting the crisp morning air, letting it fill the emptiness the fog had left behind. She rose slowly, casting one last glance at the bridge. It looked ancient, weathered, and silent now, almost harmless in the daylight. But Mara knew better. Its stones held memories of the lost, secrets that could never be spoken aloud. Its hunger remained, patient, waiting for the next soul foolish enough to wander onto its span. Mara began to walk back toward the village, her steps unsteady but determined. Each step felt like a reclaiming of herself, of life, of control over the fear that had gripped her so tightly. The bridge faded behind her, shrouded in mist, as if it had never moved, never swayed, never whispered her name. Yet in the back of her mind, she knew it would call again, to someone else, when the night was dark and the fog heavy. She returned home, soaked and exhausted, but alive. The villagers greeted her with relief, unaware of the ordeal she had endured. Mara did not speak of the whispers, the shadows, or the figure. Some things were too old, too hungry, and too dangerous to explain. That night, as she lay in bed, the wind carried a faint echo through her window. A soft, familiar voice, whispering through the darkness. Mara closed her eyes and held her breath. It was only the wind, she told herself. It had to be only the wind. And yet, in the distance, the old bridge stood silently over the river, waiting, patient, eternal, and unforgotten.